If you had to pick one out of these three shows that pioneered indie animation on YouTube, which would you pick? The answer, all of them. They all did. But today we're talking about the Digital Circus is what we're talking about today. Animation on YouTube has existed in one form or another since the dawn of animation on YouTube. From the fun-sized drawings we had on those tiny little sketches, to the storytime animators we all know and love, animation has been such an integral part of YouTube. But there is this new-ish genre of animation that's really making waves on YouTube. Indie animation, trademark. Indie animation refers to animated series and movies which are independently funded through the creator's wallet, a third party, or other funding means like Patreon, directly contrasting the AAA studios, which are massive corporations which can afford to spend billions of dollars on projects, yada yada yada. Indie projects have always held a special place in my heart because it's just so fascinating to see what a community can accomplish through community-driven support and crowdfunding. And yes, I'm still going to rant a hell of a lot about indie animation, just not in this video. So be on the lookout for that one, guys. Today, instead, I'm going to be talking about a show that has made and still is making waves in indie animation industry. You saw the thumbnail, you know what I'm talking about. The Amazing Digital Circus. Yeah, so amazing. I want to believe everyone watching this knows what I'm talking about. This video is definitely not your foot in the door. The Amazing Digital Circus is an indie show created by the talented Gooseworks and produced by Goose Productions. Think of them as basically the Disney of indie animation, where instead of them holding an animation monopoly, they hold an indie animation monopoly. The trailer for the Amazing Digital Circus was released on September 22, 2023. And, I guess you could say the pilot did a bit well. It's completely shattered all expectations and is currently the most viewed indie pilot and indie show ever, period. To say the show is a nice show would be a huge understatement and, quite frankly, very offensive. It quickly became the staple of indie animation on YouTube, and to good reason. The show's mix of humor and compelling characters made it the gem that it is. But I think we could all agree that, how do I say this? Where the story excels the most, it's its fucking visuals. They are so stunning. Just the view alone from the Candy Crush Canyon Kingdom makes me feel like I put my Candy Crush cranium into some Candy Crush cocaine. The art direction is just surreal. I don't know who or where the background art director person for this show is, but wherever you are, I will find you. Background should not look this good. It's so luscious. It makes me wanna... God, I love indie animation. The attention to detail is just crazy in the Amazing Digital Circus. Not the Easter eggs. I don't really give a shit about those. But the actual background props. Like in episode 7, when they get to Kane's office, the stylization is so well designed. From the appearance of Kane's door to the character rigs being used as figurines in the background, everything feels so intentional. They do it in such a way that, in places that don't necessarily drive the plot forward, or put in little to no addition, the background is just enough to keep you engaged. In season 2, Hominy glitched through the world in the Amazing Digital Circus. Get used to hearing that phrase a lot, by the way. Falling through the skybox, which will literally just light up your face if you're any form of game dev or 3D model. But she falls through to the developer's room and finds T-posing characters in there. Again, just shows how much thought and care was put into this show. This show has gotten so much exposure that even Netflix, yes, Netflix, has decided to pick this show up. All episodes of the Amazing Digital Circus are now available on Netflix, which, is neat. It shows that traditional media is recognizing the medium of indie animation more and more. Why the fuck does everything have to come with the price? I love indie shows. I really do. It's just, why do we have to wait years for a new release of a new indie show? It's just something that never sat right with me. I've been following the Amazing Digital Circus since episode 4, and where are we now? Episode 7. Well, how cartoons are normally produced is that they're in batches. So usually a whole season is being written, directed, animated, and compiled at once, in cohesion. This is typically the approach that bigger studios use to produce their shows, so it allows the viewers to enjoy a season of their favorite shows, keeping their thirst at bay, while the second season is then being developed and released 2 years later. Problem being that this method requires a high amount of source capital, one which is easily obtainable by studios like DreamWorks, Pixar's, and the likes. But upcoming film school dropout Sally from Iowa? Yeah, she doesn't have that $10 million to drop for the show. She doesn't have $10,000 to pay for her student debt. So typically, indie animators rely on crowdfunding and revenue generated through viewerships from the animations they post, meaning they can't begin production of the next episode till the other video has made enough turnover. Then to top it all off, when the show has made enough money, they have to start construction of the new episode entirely from scratch. Do you see what I'm getting at here? So there's usually a long waiting gap between indie projects, sometimes ranging from about 3 months to 1 year. And by then, my most TikTok brain is already focusing all that's happened in the other episodes. So then I have to go rewatching it. This is the same problem that's slowing down other indie projects, like LS Marks catching up, Lackadaisy, which funny enough got picked up and is being funded by Glitch. This has always been a pet peeve of mine with the indie animation genre, even though I know all the technicals and understand why they can't just drop a whole season at once. I just want to know how it ends. I shouldn't have to wait 3 years to get the conclusion to a show. But why? Well, you know what they say. When a show leaves its audience without episodes for prolonged periods of time, where we turn to Reddit. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say why, yes, the characters in the Amazing Digital Circus are charming and added to the overall state of the show as a whole, aren't really a substantial part to why the show was as popular. There were always these generic characters to me. Pomni is the awkward main character type girl, Ragatha is the responsible one, Zubo's the laid back one, Gango's the scary one, Kinger's the stupid one, Jax is the cool one, and Kane's the AI overseer bent on keeping them in line and terrorizing everything they do. See? Generic. We do get to see these characters' story arcs, and I will give them that. And it's also nice to see how these characters overcome their struggles, with Zubo not being able to find a body that fits, Gango's being Jax's punching bag, Ragatha's insecurities about her friends, just generally resolved. Except for Jax, obviously. Speaking of Jax, why is he in every indie film to ever exist? Ever? The Amazing Digital Circus has been a wonderful show. And now that it's coming to an end, I'm gonna miss it. From the memes, to the story, to the references, to the everything. It was totally an okay show.